Hello, TCI family, Jonathan's Refuge, and all our followers. We come to you bringing peace, love, and harmony. So, this month's message for June is titled Like Attracts Like. What does that mean? It's an old spiritual saying, and many businesses even teach that term nowadays. So negativity attracts negativity, positivity attracts positivity. That's what it means when someone says like attracts like. You find when I was a kid, my mom used to always say, don't you be running around them streets with any hooligans because you'll become a hooligan. And she was right. You hang out with gangsters, you become a gangster. And you hang out with businessmen, you become a businessman. You hang out with teachers, you become a teacher. You hang out with people who climb mountains, you become a mountaineer. It's very a simple concept to grasp and understand. But is it easy to do? That's the topic for this month's topic on my vlog on our church website and our YouTube channel. The church website, by the way, is www.inclusion.church. And please go to it, look at all the other vlogs, read our statement of faith, what we believe in, our creed, which is real simple: love all. That is our creed. And if you find yourself like attracting like, and you say, wow, I really like what this organization is saying and doing, then please feel free to reach out to us and become part of our organization. You might be in another country, but we can use your prayers. We could use your positive vibrations. We could use help financially. We could use help physically. There's a lot of things that we need help with in our organization. We work with our men's homes that we sponsor called Jonathan's Refuge. We have a couple of nonprofits that focus on finding housing for the homeless and finding employment for the unemployed. So we have a vast organization, but we sure could use all the help we can get our hands on. So please reach out to us. Like attracts like. That statement from my mother rang true. I hung out with gangsters and I became one. But before I did that, I hung out with very wise men. I hung out with businessmen and Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, the father of positive thinking himself, right? He is the godfather of it in the modern era. And he wrote the book, The Power of Positive Thinking. I'm actually looking at my, across my office here at a shelf, and there's his book, The Power of Positive Thinking. If you've never read it, you need to get it right now. Download it on Audible. You need that book in your life. Dr. Robert Schuller, one of his proteges, who had the Hour of Power, and he spoke on the same topics. And so I grew up as a young man being trained by men like this and other great successful people, star athletes like Jerry Lucas, the top 50 NBA Hall of Famers. You don't get much better than the top 50 of all time. This man taught me so much. Rosie Greer, he's a Super Bowl champion in the NFL. You're saying, well, what does all those famous people got to do with anything? Well, it's important to understand they came from nothing and achieved greatness using this belief system where like attracts like. And so I had that seed at an early age planted in me. And then, of course, I went off on that other road that I chose for all the wrong reasons. And that like attracted me back. Now, the interesting thing was, even as a gangster and a thug and a violent person, I'll tell you a story of a person. He was a good friend, but I didn't like the way he did business. He was violent. In that business, we were all violent. He had a particular style of violence where he didn't care if he harmed people that were innocent bystanders. So he didn't care if he shot up a house to kill a rival gangbanger or a rival mobster. He didn't care if a wife or a child got hurt or a neighbor. And I separated my friendship from this man when I learned this, because I had a couple rules in my. I know you think you can't be a gangster and have rules. You can actually. And one of the key rules, principles that I lived by was women and children were off limits. And he broke those rules. And so, what's sad was the violence he perpetrated on people. It came back to roost in his own hen house because someone paid him a visit, and unfortunately, his family paid the ultimate price. And I remember hearing about it, and it was devastating. You don't ever want to hear about something like that, where innocent bystanders were hurt. And he asked me, "Why doesn't anyone ever do that to you?" And I said, "I live by a different principle. Women and children were off limits. If there was a problem between another guy and I broke his leg with a baseball bat, that was between me and that guy who was another criminal. And I never included innocent bystanders." Now, I'm not trying to make myself out to be a saintly. I was evil, very bad. Make no mistake. But I'm trying to show you that what you put out there in a vibration, doesn't matter if you're a Muslim, a Christian, a Buddhist, it does not matter. That vibration comes back to us through the universe. See, God is a consciousness. There's a lot of people peddling faiths, religions, doctrines, boxes. If you fit in this box, you get to go to my heaven. That's for eternity. If you don't fit in this box, you get to go to this box, and that's hell for eternity. Well, I've died a few times, and I'm here to tell you those boxes don't exist. There is no hell. Actually, I shouldn't say that. There is a hell. You're living in it right now. I'm in it right now. Now, we can make this hell heaven too. But there is no eternal flaming fire. There is no eternal torture. And at the same time, people always ask when it talks about like attracts like. So if you're evil here, doesn't it follow you afterwards? Those are good questions. Those are great questions. But what I want to point this to is for while we're here living on this plane, on this plateau, if you will. And it's real simple. You guys have had a bad day before. I woke up and and I consider, and many consider me an expert in the positive thinking world. But even in the positive thinking world, you can have bad days. They come. And my day started off bad. It started off bad, and I kept talking about it. And then every traffic got worse. And then I was talking about that. And so I was reinforcing it. And then got to the ferry, and nothing worked out. I got my coffee. They messed up my coffee. It didn't work. And then the person went back in to get the new coffee, and they still messed it up. And it's like, is this the kind of, and even a guy like me who has spent his entire life in that field of educating people on thinking positive and how our vibrations that we put out into the universe are echoing, boomeranging back to us, saw his day crumble. So it happens to the best. And I know this because I asked the man that I consider one of the best, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. I said, "Do you ever have bad days?" He laughed. He says, "I don't talk about them much, but my dear wife will tell you I do." And you know what? She did. And I also learned that she has bad days. And so people who say they're so perfect and so everything's great, I learned to run away from those people. I like to look for the person who I can relate to. You've heard of the bracelet, "What would Jesus do?" WWJD, what would Jesus do? I don't know what he would do, right? The man apparently walked on water. I don't walk on water, so I can't relate. But if you said, "What did JB do?" Or "What did Chuck do?" "What did this guy I know do?" "What did Dr. Peale do?" I can relate to them. They're humans. They make mistakes. They mess up. They speak angrily. They get mad. They throw temper tantrums. Not as bad as some would think, but things happen. My wife and me are, some call us, "You guys are so saintly." I assure you we're not. We fight just like everyone else. We argue over things just like everyone else. We're human. But people also ask us, how do you guys get so blessed? You're always traveling and you're always doing things and changing the world and helping this person. It's like you're always blessed. That's because like attracts like. My wife and me put out vibrations into the universe. Do we put out bad vibrations? Absolutely. Me and my wife put out bad vibrations, just not as much as we used to. And every day it seems to be a little less, a little less, a little less, and a little less. The older I get as I approach my 48th birthday, over a quarter of a century at the helm of this ministry, I find myself less and less fighting those old habits of being negative. See, there is no positive without a negative. And we're going to talk about that today. But the like attracts like. So the day went south. But who controls your day? You do. I do. My wife does. My friend does. We do. We control our day. No one else. My wife doesn't control my day, and I don't control hers. You don't control yours. Wife's day, and she doesn't control yours. You see how it works is 10% of life is what happened today. 90% of it is what did JB do with it? What did you do with it? Paul, what did you do with it? Mike, Barbara, Cece, what did you guys do with it? That is the beauty of what we have. See, God gave us free will to be mean, nasty, like that criminal friend of mine. And that vibration he put out of violence and such brutality, it boomeranged back and it hurt more than you'll ever know. And others put out different vibrations. People are givers. I have a very dear friend of mine, Debbie and Scott, and they've been supporters of our ministry and our organization. I love them dearly. And they're very kind. And they have donated to our organization through hiring the men in our men's homes. We have men's homes of hope called Jonathan's Refuge, and they've always been a blessing to us. And you know something? I look at their life, and every time I see it, I hear more blessings. That's a boomerang effect. Now, if you ask my friend Debbie and Scott, did they do things bad in their life? Did they mess stuff up? They'll tell you, oh, absolutely. Just like me. And I like the term karma, or as the Christian world, we call it sowing and reaping. The Buddhist world, we call it karma. But as we sow good seed, we get good seed. As we sow bad seed, we get bad seed. So let's talk about seed, because I don't know if you've ever planted seeds, but in my garden at the office, my wife and me planted some things. We planted some melons, some honeydew melon, or actually cantaloupe melons, and some watermelons and some different things. But let's just stick with the cantaloupe. So we planted the seed. The cantaloupe seed is just a seed. And we put it in the earth. We closed it up, and then we've watered it, and we've fertilized it. And then we continue to water that seed. Now, what's interesting, that seed knows exactly what to pull out of the earth to help that seed grow into the plant, which then has this beautiful cantaloupe that grows off of the vine. Isn't that amazing? The seed knows what to do. What seed are you planting? You see, that's a boomerang effect. The seed of the cantaloupe was planted. The cantaloupe pulls the nutrients. It knows what to pull. It doesn't. An oak tree seed doesn't create a pine tree, does it? No. It knows what to pull, and it creates an oak tree. The seed for the cantaloupe did not pull out a watermelon. It knows to pull out the nutrients and produce a cantaloupe. What seed are you planting? Have you guys ever seen water and oil? Because we're going to talk about that when we get into the subject of negativity and positivity. But that's part of what I want to transition into. Because when you look at things, when you plant positive seeds, you then get positive fruit. When you plant negative seed, you get negative seed. If you're always saying, I work with people at one of our nonprofits that are homeless, addicts, drug addicted, meth heads, crack heads, prostitutes, you name it. ex-cons, trying to con, still trying to con. And I know many different versions of how these cons work, but there's always that person, and you know who I'm talking about, that no matter what happens to them, they got fired. And maybe they did cause their firing, maybe they didn't. But you ever notice they never did anything wrong in their eyes? They tell you the story. I didn't do a thing. I was fired. It was an injustice. And then just wait till their next job. I'm being taken advantage of. This place is taking advantage of me. And then the next job. Oh man, I can't believe it. They fired me again. This is wrong. What is wrong? It must be they don't like fat people. They don't like skinny people. They don't like white people. They don't like black people. You'll come up with whatever reason you come up with in that beautiful mind of yours. But what never changes is it's always a negative result occurring to you. I learned a long time ago, every time I point to someone else, there's 3 fingers pointing back at me. So when I'm trying to blame someone, I need to be very careful, because the truth is I'm looking at the person to blame, which is me. See, you are your worst enemy. Jonathan Brown, JB Brown, as I go by my nickname. JB is my worst enemy. I am the devil inside, and so are you. So you're not fighting an outer demon out there. You're fighting the inner demon. You guys have heard my sermon on God and the devil. They're the same, and it's inside of you. God is in you. The devil is in you. You are God, and you are the devil, and you are all one entity. And whatever you feed, it will proceed. And so if you choose to feed the light, then that light will come out of you. The God will come out of you. The blessings and the positive things will come out. But if you feed the darkness, if you feed what we call the devil in you, then that is what will come out. And as it comes out, that negativity comes back. And you're always fired for the wrong reason. You're always taken advantage of. I've been to prison and jail many times. Only one of them, I didn't do it. The rest of it, I did it all. I own up to it. I'm probably one of the few that say I went to prison. I was guilty. Only one time did I go to prison for something I didn't do. You see, I'm not going to try to blame other people for my actions. What are you doing out there? What seeds are you planting? When you come home from work, do you come in and bring all that negativity? So your boss was rude to you, so a customer yelled at you, and you walk in the house, you have 2 choices when your spouse and your partner says, "How was your day, honey, dear, sweetheart?" "Oh, it was horrible. It was crappy. And this is what happened. And they took advantage of me." And that all might be true. It actually might all be true. Or you have a choice and you can say, it's fantastic. The day, interesting day, but I'm so grateful that it's over. It had some good things to it today. And you're thinking, no, there was nothing good. You're breathing. If you're breathing, that was good. Are you back at home? You made it home safe? That was good. Focus on if it's only that little one thing. And then you have changed the atmosphere of your home. Instead of coming in with all that negativity that now you've dragged into your home, and all those people that were messing with you at work, they own you. Yeah, they own you. They own you at your house because you brought them back to your house. You couldn't let it go. And that's tough. That's very tough. And so here's what I've learned. You can't be negative without being positive. And you can't be positive without being negative. They are one and the same. The God, the devil, the good, the bad, the yin, the yang. All spiritual faiths have the term for it. And so I found myself at a young age, people used to always call me Mr. Positive. It was actually one of my first nicknames in my professions. Man, that guy, JB, every person he sees, he says he's going to sell them in my sales career. Every time that he preaches, he says it's the greatest day of his life. Man, I can't believe that. Well, if you go into my bedroom and you look at the wall in my closet, there's a handwritten note. Today is the most amazing day of my life. And I create it. You see, I'm 48 and I'm still putting those little Post-it notes in the bathroom on the mirror If you go into the office bathroom, I've got Dr. Norman Vincent Peale quote that he told me personally. Take this quote, write it, and keep it on a mirror the rest of your life. Stick it on a little piece of paper and tape it to your dashboard. Put it on your desk. Tattoo it on your hand. And he wasn't a fan of tattoos, but he said, get it in your head. And it was about positive affirmation. You see, if I tell you my day is going to be crappy because my coffee didn't come, guess what? It happened. And it happened to me. A rookie move. But I refuse to allow the sun to go down and allow that day to own me. And that's what I want you to understand about like attracts like. Now, see, what I love is that I actually have friends, ministry partners, men and women in my life, mentors around me, so that when I see that I'm going in a way that might be that negative way, I can quickly grab for help and just, can you pull me back? I can't do it. I am a human. I am frail today. See, we're all frail. Look at Martin Luther King. What does everyone say about Martin Luther King? One of the greatest men in our country ever had. True. Had multiple affairs. He sinned. He fell short. Sin just means, by the way, you have missed the mark. We look at our president that have been executed, assassinated, President JFK. He was such a great president. Again, the guy not only had multiple affairs over and over, but in the White House, he missed the mark. But does that mean because you missed the mark that you're a bad person? No, not at all. So see, if you're out there and you're listening to this and you say, yeah, but I'm a drug addict right now and I'm doing meth. Like as we're talking, I'm smoking meth, watching this. Put it down. Decide right now. This is the moment. This is my moment. I'm going to change. Because what we do here echoes through eternity. And so that's where the sowing and reaping comes in. That little seed that I planted, we sowed a seed of cantaloupe. We're reaping beautiful cantaloupe. What seed are you sowing? Is that seed positive or negative? Because the negative and positive are in us, and they can't be without it. You know, it says in the Bible, in the Christian Bible, it says, be angry, but sin not. So be angry, but don't miss the mark. So it's okay to be angry. I'm angry that the government took advantage of something. I'm angry that a person down the street killed an innocent person. I'm angry that someone harmed a family member. But don't go and miss the mark by going and being, that's okay. That sounds negative. It is negative when you're saying, I'm angry. But it's not a bad thing unless you act on it and turn it into a bad seed by going and punching somebody. You see, it's easy for me to snap. Some time ago, a man reached up to choke me, a meth head. And out of reaction, I knocked him out. One punch drops him to the ground. The ring that is on my finger, if you look at the skull there, you're going to see that indent right there. And you can see it above the eye. That was his tooth. The guy was choking me. I had the right. I defended myself. I was in the right. There was no wrong. I didn't do anything wrong, but I felt horrible about it afterwards because I'm not that beast anymore. I'm not the Irish beast any longer. I am now a man of love and peace. But yet, those negativity, the dark side, right? The yin and the yang, it comes up inside of us because it's always there. But what you feed will proceed. So that seed that you feed is going to proceed and grow into something. So if you're always watering that old, they take advantage of me, it's not my fault, it's everyone else's, you're burnt. You're burnt. Okay? In prison, that's a term they use. You're burnt, man. It means you're busted. You're done. You're burnt. You're done in. It's over. Because all you're doing is planting that negative seed. You've got to plant the positive seed. See, that's why people always ask me often, how's your health? Please tell me the truth. Oh, I'm fantastic. No, Bishop, I need to know the truth. Tell me the truth. I know you tell everyone you're fantastic. What's the truth? I'm fantastic. You see, when I was in the ER one time in the middle of a heart attack and my pulse rate was over 180. Yeah, the pulse was over 180. My blood pressure was somewhere in the excess of 2.25 over 160 in the middle of that heart attack. The pain, I cannot even begin to explain to you. As my ex-wife and my children, the family were right in that room with me, and they're crying because they're seeing someone they love die. The doctors running in, doctors everywhere. They're strapping things on me. They're trying to do all kinds of things. They're zapping my heart to get it back into rhythm, all these things. And I see a doctor that I haven't seen in a while. And the last time I saw that doctor, he was telling me about a struggle of his child and the struggle that his child was going through. And I stopped and I said, "Hey, doc, how's your child?" And he looks at me and goes, "Are you effing kidding me? You're dying and you're asking me how my kid is?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "Hey, I'm fantastic. Don't worry. I'll get through it. A little painful. I'm not going to lie to you. A lot painful, but I'm fantastic because I'm still talking." Now you might say that's too much. Really? That attitude is what's kept me alive through all the heart attacks and all the strokes and all the surgeries and all the stents and all the issues and all the medications. It's that positive attitude. That's the reason they call me Mr. Positive, because I refuse to settle for a negative report. It says, don't believe the enemy's report. What that means in the scripture, when it says, don't believe I will not believe the enemy's report, the enemy is you. And it's the report you're giving yourself. Hey, I'm doing crappy. Well, you are then. There was a Wall Street banker, early 1900s. He had lost a fortune in some business dealings, and it was about to hit the newspapers. Now, the man had millions left. He would never be in the poorhouse, but his reputation would have taken a big hit. He would not be the big swinging tree on Wall Street, not for many years probably. And he was heard saying every second of the day, of the last day of his life, they said he would walk around that, "I'm ruined. This is going to kill me. I'm ruined. This is going to kill me." He said that over and over and over. And that night he laid his head down and he never woke up. And the cause of death was natural causes, they said. Wow. You can speak so much negativity over you that you die. Think about that just for a second. So when you see me saying fantastic, don't question me, because all you're doing is trying to bring up the negativity in me. You want me to bring that out? If you love me, you don't. See, when I ask you how you doing, I want to hear the truth too. I mean, are you really doing good? And I hope you answer the truth, which is, yes, I'm still breathing. I got some obstacles, some opportunities to overcome. I've got a surgery coming up, or I've got to change my diet, or I've got to do more exercise. I've got to take this or do that. But I'm alive and I'm fighting. So I'm doing fantastic. See, we speak those things that are not as though they are. The New Testament, one of the apostles of the Christ stated that. Speak those things that are not as though they are. You see, water and oil, I talked about it earlier, they don't mix. Take a cup of water. Go get it right now. Fill it up halfway. Go take oil. Pour a cup of oil in the water. It will not go into the water. It'll jump down in the water as it shoots in, and it'll pop right back out. It will separate. It does not mix. Negativity and positivity. Take 2 cables and a battery. I don't recommend anyone doing this legally. I'm telling you, if you do this, you're an idiot, and we are not liable. But as a young man, I'll tell you what I did one time. I had a wrench in the car, and I was trying to loosen the positive cable, and the wrench slipped up and touched the negative cable. Did y'all know what happened? Shocks everywhere, right? Sparks flying. Because negative charge and positive charge cannot interact. That's why it sparks and blows up. It's explosive. So that, my friends, is the moral of like attracts like. Stop attracting the oil, the negativity. Start attracting the positive, the fluid of positive thinking, positive speaking, positive believing. And you can achieve it if you truly do believe it. And you say that's some corny saying from 80 years ago. It is corny. And all the multi-billionaires out there, they use it. All those successful athletes, they use it. I love you guys. God loves you. You know the drill. Live positive. I want to wrap this up. Like attracts like. Let's go out there and attract all the positive blessings to us.